beast of the week is Joy Mangano. And you probably haven't heard of Joy Mangano unless about over 30 years ago you bought a Miracle Mop. I watched this movie called Joy, Joy Mangano is played by Jennifer Lawrence in this movie, and this woman went through so much adversity to build her company that she is definitely wins the beast of the week, because when you watch this movie, you get so angry, but you're also so motivated for this woman because there's just so many ups and downs. And I just want to do a brief intro about who she is. Joy Mangano is an inventor and entrepreneur who turned the Miracle Mop into a multi-million-dollar success, selling 18,000 units in just half an hour on QVC. She went on to create household hits like Huggable Hangers with over 1 billion sold, and Forever Fragrant, which broke sales records on the Home Shopping Network. Her life story inspired the movie Joy, starring Jennifer Lawrence, and today she continues to innovate as CEO of Clean Boss. So I just go watch the movie Joy, and you'll understand why she is the beast of the week. And it's from a entrepreneurial standpoint. For the beast of the week, it doesn't always have to be someone who lost a bunch of weight or somebody super fit. I like to do people who are really, really passionate and gone through so many trials and tribulations in business, and say, why and how I think they were able to make their thing work. So the first thing is overcoming adversity. She was married, she had 3 kids, and then she got a divorce in like 1989 before she actually had the mop idea, which it's kind of interesting. But in the movie, she actually kind of stays with the guy, and the guy lives in her basement, which is crazy. The guy being her ex-husband. And thankfully, he was actually really nice and he helped her in the movie. It seemed like he was the one that had her back and wanted her to do well. But her mother lived with her. She had 3 kids. She had like 2 jobs. She was a travel agent person. Like, she was a waitress. She did all these things. And then she decided she wanted to build this mop. Apparently, over her life, and you can read some of it on Wikipedia, that she was an inventor, throughout her whole life. She always had some really fun ideas. But this Miracle Mop, was the first big idea that she had. And she took like 300 yards of yarn and rolled it up into this mop so that you could wash it. It would soak up so much liquid that it was really, really useful. So what I mean by overcoming adversity is, like, she wasn't in the greatest position to build this mop company, right? She had to do things on the side. She had to take care of her children. She had to take care of family members. It was just unbelievable how she was able to make this idea come to reality while still trying to take care of her family and, obviously have a job as well. And then the really thing that bugged me the most were her family members, who were always almost pulling her back to basically prevent her from seeing her dream come to reality. And then also, when she did get an investor, and I have to look into this more, but when she did get an investor, it was her dad's girlfriend / I think she became his wife at some point. But this is what was really frustrating. She had been married previously, the investor, and she talked about her husband being a very, very good businessman. And she told Joy, you got to have these 3 things, and you got to be willing to make sacrifices and deal with adversity and be able to pivot and all these other things. And I want to be like, you didn't do any of these things, and you're telling somebody else that you need to be able to do them, which I get. It doesn't mean you don't have a say so, but at one point she was like, I don't think you have what it takes to be an entrepreneur. And I'm just like, man, that would just infuriate me if someone that hadn't built a business or hadn't done anything business related and just inherited a bunch of money, if they said I don't think you have what it takes to be an entrepreneur to build a company, because they have no idea what it takes because they've never done it. So I think that was the most infuriating part for me, was people outside of building this business were trying to tell Joy exactly what she should do. And they were either money hungry or they were resentful because Joy was doing all these things to build her business and they weren't going to have any recognition or anything like that. So that was super frustrating for me to watch. And this whole movie, I'm not joking, throughout the movie, you're just you're on this emotional roller coaster where you're super happy for her when she comes starts to do her thing, but then you get so pissed when you see family members and even things not go her way. So anyways, all right. One of the biggest things I think that really drove her being the Beast of the Week home for me was whenever she made her deal with QVC, she basically said, hey, I'm going to build 1,000 mops for QVC and I want you guys to sell them on QVC. And like QVC, the home shopping or the shopping network on like selling things on TV was like a new big thing. And people were selling like thousands of dollars, if not, close to millions of dollars worth of products on this thing. And this guy was, or at least this is what it's portrayed, is Joy was not the first person to sell the mop. They have people selling certain products, and this guy tried to sell the mop, and he was absolutely horrifically terrible trying to sell this mop on TV. And there's a scene where they're watching QVC and they're waiting for this guy to sell the mop, and the guy absolutely tanks, bombs, and just absolutely does a terrible job of trying to sell this mop. And I think in the movie it says like they didn't sell any mops whatsoever, so it was only like a 5-minute spot, and you can see Joy's just devastated. But she didn't take no for an answer. She didn't say, okay, well, I'm over now. She was like, I'm going to go sell this mop because I'm the one who should be on the TV and I should be the one trying to sell this mop. So I thought that was probably the biggest lesson that I took from it was like, when somebody hasn't lived what you've lived trying to sell this product, it's hard for a person to just try to sell something that they're not super passionate about or have a lot of information on and don't know how it works. So I think that's one of the biggest messages that I took from her was like, hey, sometimes you got to be the one to sell this thing to like as much as possible. And then over time, once people realize how beneficial it is, then you can get other people to sell the products. She goes in, talks to Bradley Cooper and was like, I want to sell this thing. I'm going to do it. And I'm going to show you how it's done. And she ends up selling like, I think it was like 18,000 units in just a half an hour, which is incredible because the other guy didn't sell any. So you went from selling 0 to selling 18,000 units. So it does matter who sells the product. And so that's just something I think was super beneficial to take into account, because a lot of times we're building the product, and then we want somebody else to sell it, because I will say selling and marketing is definitely not something you want to have to do, because you want the product to sell itself. You want the product to be good enough to say for somebody like, hey, this looks awesome. Let me just go ahead and buy it. Anyway, I got something in my eye, but it's not the case. Sometimes you have to show people why it's so important. And then I think Joy did an incredible job of selling the product and showing, hey, this can be something that is super beneficial for people that need to clean up big messes in their home with this mop. And then the last thing is the thing that probably, maybe the thing that pissed me off the most was someone stole her patent, and they were fabricating these devices and they were selling them elsewhere. And I think they were selling them like in a different country. In the movie, it's like over in China or some other country. I can't remember exactly that. But anyways, someone had stolen her patent idea and were like making them for cheaper and selling them. And I was just like, man, that's just, if you have an idea that is really, really good and someone steals your idea and starts, building it on the cheap, that's like so frustrating. And it just goes to show that for her too, she like tracked the guy down who was stealing her idea and made basically him say like, you're either going to pay for what you've stolen, or I'm going to take you to court and I'm going to bury you because this is the information I have, blah, blah, blah. And it was just that was so satisfying to see her tell this guy like, you're going to pay me my money or I'm going to bury you. And it actually worked. And so very, very cool to see that. But yeah, I wanted to give you a few more fun facts. Joy Mangano holds 71 patent families and 126 individual patents. Her Miracle Mop used 300 feet of cotton loops for its self-wringing design. She once sold 30,000 pairs of shoes in just 33 hours on the Home Shopping Network. Joy grew up in Brooklyn but was raised in Long Island, giving her that New York grit. Her 3 children, Christy, Robert, Jacqueline, grew up seeing her mom build her empire from scratch. And then the last one is, even after she left the Home Shopping Network in 2018, she came back in 2022 with her Clean Boss line. She just can't stay away from inventing and connecting with customers. Joy Mangano, I think very motivating to see somebody make things work when all the odds are stacked against you and you don't have a lot of help sometimes. So that's it. Hopefully you guys go watch that movie. It's great. And also, oddly enough, those are the same characters almost. Almost all of them are from Silver Linings Playbook, which is also an incredible movie. It's not a movie, docu-movie, but really good. So Joy, go see that movie, and then watch Silver Linings Playbook if you haven't seen that either. That's all I got. Yeah, another Beast of the Week next week. If you have any Beast of the Week that you think I should do, let me know. And I appreciate you guys watching this, and hopefully that motivates you to continue to grind in your business ventures or even at work. You know, sometimes you just get people that are just haters / just don't want to see you do well or are jealous and aren't going to help you out. And you just have to overcome adversity sometimes. And it takes a long time. It's not something that usually happens 6 months, a year, 2 years. It takes a really, really long time. And if you stay in the problem and you just stay in there and you say, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to talk to customers. I'm going to find a way to get this out to the masses. Not always, but you tend to get where you need to go. So that's all I got. Hopefully that was helpful. Hopefully that was motivating. And you guys get after it. Thanks for watching.